Leah Umansky totally falls in love with cousin Matthew, even though she thinks he is too good for her. But he's a dreamboat with that blonde hair and that "I am a nice, kind, good person" thing he projects from his eyes like a giant neon sign. But then, whoa, look out, he's secretly in love with his cousin Mary, who killed the man with her sex. And Lavinia knows this, for she is no fool. And then Matthew totally gets crippled in the war, and also he can't ever make babies because of his injury, and so that is bad news. Forever.
Yeah, exactly.
And she is all, "I still love you, baby, let me take care of you forever." And he is all, "I don't believe you, no, that's impossible." And then he can walk again, and he's like, "Whoops, I love my cousin Mary." And then Lavinia gets Spanish influenza and dies of either that or a broken heart. Please welcome Leah.
So I love Cousin Matthew, and I love Downton Abbey on Sunday. I was very happy it came back to PBS. So that made me happy, so thank you. Okay. So I'm Leah. I'm a middle school and high school English teacher, so my introduction to my book report has to do with teaching. Do you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you know about 16-year-old girls in 2013 from being a high school English teacher? 1, they're either really cute, dorky, and quiet, or they're super bitchy and can't be bothered. 2, they don't want to let others know they are actually smart. They'll raise their hand to answer a question, but then they start their answer with phrases like, "Oh, I don't think I know this," or "I don't get it, but if I could do anything as a teacher, it's to help build their confidence." 3, they're constantly twirling their hair or playing with the hair of whoever is sitting in front of them. Not even exaggerating about that. They're always like touching people's hair. I'm like, "Stop touching that girl's hair." 4, they relate everything to movies. 5, they love to sing. 6, their heroes are either people like the President, the First Lady, Kesha, or Lady Gaga. It's true. What I was like as a 16-year-old in 1996. 1, I was smart, but it didn't come easy. I worked my ass off to get A's in school. 2, I was quiet. I answered questions if a teacher called on me, but otherwise I rarely raised my hand unless I was 95% sure I knew the answer. 3, I kept my hands to myself. I started high school with a bob, then grew it out before prom. I blew it straight every night. It took hours, and then once I got to college, I chopped it off because I was obsessed with Winona Ryder's hair in Reality Bites. 4, I related everything to books, TV, music, and movies. 5, I was obsessed with the Beatles, Tori Amos, and Bush. 6, my heroes were people alive and thumping like Paul McCartney or Kate Winslet. Or they were dead literary heroines I aspired to be like Jane Eyre, Catherine Earnshaw, Hedda Gabler, or Anne from Anne of Green Gables. I wonder if I'd fare as a 16-year-old today. I think I would. I recognized girls like me in my classes, girls who hung on to their teachers' every word, and I loved them for it. I said it, I love them. Sure, I have favorites, everyone does. I'm going to read an essay I wrote on Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery on May 22nd, 1996. Yes, I kept stuff from 10th grade. I was 16, almost 16 and a half. What I love about this essay is that it is like a legend to who I was at 16 and who I'd become in the future. I clearly loved that Anne was smart, independent, curious, and tough. Watch for all the poetic devices, because little did I know at 16 that I'd run the school literary magazine at 18 and get my first book of poems published this year at 33. If you looked up cheesy in the dictionary in 1996, there would probably be a picture of me. Here it goes. So, no boy, but there must have been a boy. We sent word to Mrs. Spencer to bring us a boy, and a girl would be of no use. Montgomery, 34. Melissa Cuthbert felt this way towards her husband Matthew when he brought home a girl and not a boy from the orphanage. Why is it that the 19th century society taught people that boys were good and practical and that girls were not? Did all people learn this lesson from society? L.N. Montgomery did not learn this lesson. She wrote the children's book, Anne of Green Gables, by telling the story of a girl who tries to follow society's rule of thumb to fit into its tight mold. She tells this story to show that not all girls can slide right into this mold without a little work. So right there, that's metaphor. Next paragraph. Society's mold was a hard one to fill if you were a girl. Society said that girls should be a certain way. They were all thought to be pretty and kind, like Diana Barry, who was a very pretty girl with her mother's dark eyes and black hair, Montgomery 75. It also said that girls should do their share around the house. They should wash the dishes, set the table, and learn to sew. They also had certain responsibilities, such as attending Sunday school, being sure to behave properly, and to always maintain a certain degree of etiquette. Another one of society's lessons told girls how to act. How to speak when spoken to, listen and obey, to sit and look pretty, and to never ever lose their temper. In the margin here, my teacher wrote, yes, exclamation point. Society's lessons are much easier on boys. Their only responsibilities were to help their fathers on their farms, do well in school, and act courteously towards adults. They were viewed by society to be strong and assured like Gilbert Blythe, who competes with Anne for first in the class. Like their fathers, boys were to either finish school and go to university or work in their farms. And here's where it gets good. Though people in the 19th century had no problem with listening to society's lectures on how girls particularly should act, not all agreed. Some girls just tried and tried but couldn't follow society's step. This is metaphor and personification coming up. Like marching in a marching band, all girls knew to step with their right foot first. But some just couldn't follow. For example, in Anne of Green Gables, Anne was one of these girls who couldn't follow. No matter how hard she tried, she always forgot to take that first step with the right foot. Lucy Maud Montgomery said that what separates Anne from other girls, besides her forgetfulness, temper, and clumsiness, was her brilliant imagination. Foster and Simmons, 155. She was even liked more by certain adults for being different from the other girls in Avonlea. For example, Miss Stacy, her teacher, says that Anne has an imagination and personality that makes her stand out in her class. Diana Barry's stubborn old Aunt Josephine even likes Anne. When the girls stay at her house after the graduation day, she tells Marilla, if I had a child like Anne in the house all the time, I'd be a better and happier woman. Foster's and Simmons, 162. Anne enchants her friends and teachers with her scope for imagination. Even though Anne puts liniment instead of vanilla into the cake she makes for the minister's wife, serves Diana cherry brandy in mistake for raspberry cordial, making her only bosom friend drunk intentionally done, and she is very smart in her own ways. This is why L.M. Montgomery argues that Anne does find her place in society. She happens to save Diana's sister from a terrible virus and even becomes first in her class. She passes the Queen's academic test first in her class and gets an Avery scholarship to a university. She has excelled in school and already her ambitions are planned out for her. Here Anne differs from her dear friend Diana. Diana's mother wouldn't even let Diana take the Queen's academic test because she didn't believe it was right for a woman to go to university. She told Diana that she will stay home and help her mother. Mrs. Lind, a neighbor, even goes as far as saying to Anne, you've got as much of an education now as a woman can be comfortable with. I don't believe in girls going to college with the men and cramming them heads full of Latin and Greek and all that nonsense. Foster and Simmons, 160. Yet, as Montgomery intended, others disagree with what is said to be right and proper. Marilla tells Mrs. Lind concerning this issue, I believe in a girl being fitted to earn her own living whether she ever has to or not. Montgomery 201. My teacher wrote, excellent. Thus, everyone is different in their opinions and beliefs, meaning that not everyone can be the same. If everyone can't be the same, then not everyone can fit into the mold the 19th century society had to offer. Again, extended metaphor. If everyone had listened to everything they were ever taught and took it as the literal truth, there would be no individuals and no point to life. Over-dramatic 16-year-old. L.M. Montgomery knew this, which is why she created Anne. She created a sculpture in a shade of yellow that differed from the dull gray shades of every other girl in Avonlea. A sculpture that she knew would be shaped by hands that loved her, until she fit the mold that was offered. Even though Anne did get molded by the hands of society, she still has the sheer elegancy of imagination that makes her unique and loved. And with her lessons now memorized, she is just as good and practical as any girl or boy could ever be.